Welcome to today's episode of Flight of Freedom. I was going to put a solo pod out this week, but I'm just so excited about the podcast that Victoria, Karla, and I recorded about identities that I'm going to put that one out this week. So I hope you like it. Victoria and Karla are both also recovery coaches. Victoria was, in fact, mine and Karla's recovery coach. And it's an incredible episode. And I'll put everybody's details in the show notes. Enjoy it. Welcome, Victoria, and welcome, Karla. Thank you for coming on my podcast. I'm so excited.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited too.
Okay, so can we start with just a few questions so that the viewers can get to know some bits and pieces about you, viewers, listeners, whatever. What is the worst job you have ever had?
Who are you asking first?
You spoke.
Okay, the worst job I've ever had, cleaning student toilets and showers.
Ew.
And that was only a few years ago.
That's not nice.
No.
What about you, Karla?
Kind of similar. I cleaned the bathrooms for a baseball game. Baseball game.
Oh dear. I did chambermaiding actually when I was a teenager, and that was really horrible. Weird things you find in hotel rooms. Really weird.
Oh, I can imagine.
What fictional family would you like to be a member of?
Twilight, the vampires.
Nice.
Living forever, baby, in physical form.
I don't know, actually. I don't know which one. Maybe the Adams.
That would be fun. That would be really fun. What's your favorite dessert?
Chocolate, anything where some normal person will go, oh, that's too rich. And I'm like, yeah, give it to me.
I think Mexican candy with chamoy and spice thingies inside.
You're going to have to share some of this because I've never tried it.
Yeah, I want to try. It's good. I mean, it's addictive.
When you were a little girl, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be a mounted police officer.
Did you?
Yeah,
That's
because
very cool.
Both my parents were in the police and I've rode horses since I was 5. So as I'm sure we're going to go into today, you kind of copy what your parents do and you're kind of conditioned, not in a bad way, but you just are. And so I just copied my parents, then put my spin on it and put a horse in there as well.
Excellent.
A teacher. I think it's
nice. Any particular age group?
Like kids. Always around kids, like maybe
little ones, teenagers.
I think no, teenagers, no, little ones.
Teenagers can be quite scary. I think I was quite scary when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And the last one, if you had a magic wand and you could change one thing in the world, one thing only, what would it be?
This is easy for me. I would do this with my magic wand, and for the podcast I'm doing I don't know what I'm doing with my hand, but a magic wandy fairy godmother thing. And I would be like, everybody wake up tomorrow morning, or no, not tomorrow, right now, and love themselves unconditionally. The whole world would be a completely different place.
It really would. That would be incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I think also maybe similar. The older people can connect with their own souls, like these connections repairs, and everybody turns again to that connection.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. We could definitely change the world, couldn't we? So this episode, I wanted to talk about identity, because I know when I was just starting recovery, I I didn't know who I was without an eating disorder. And that I found a really, really, really terrifying thought. And I know several of my clients have mentioned it as well, like, well, I don't know who I'm going to be without an eating disorder. What if I don't like who I am? What if I'm a really horrible person? What if I'm nothing without an eating disorder? Did you experience this?
I did. I'll let Karla go first because I feel like the dynamic, right? I used to be both of your coaches, so I understand like why Karla's very kindly letting me go first. But I'm going to hand the book over to Karla, and then I'll go second.
Yes, I think I was the eating disorder.
Yes.
I felt that like nothing out of the eating disorder is going to be me. Like I was that, and I was totally and completely being in my mind all the eating disorders that I used to be. And that was really scary when I need to let it go. And when I hear Victoria told me, you are not the eating disorder, it was like, what? No, you don't know me. I am the eating disorder.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And I felt the same. So my identity, of course, was similar to yours, both of yours, in terms of it morphed, right? It was always rooted in the one that was the best at something. So when I was anorexic, it was like, it sounds ridiculous, but I know you two understand. You want to be the best, sickest anorexic there is, because you need to be the best at that. And then when that kind of morphed into bulimia and binge eating, it was like, well, okay, in secret, I'll be the quote best binger there is, and like to the extremity of all the stuff I used to eat in one go. But then I'd have to purge and be the best purger. And then my purging of choice, which sounds awful, was laxative addiction and overexercise. And that led me into the fitness addiction. So my identity was being the best at something. And so when I was on my healing journey and I started to let go of that identity, I didn't know who I was. And I didn't want to commit suicide. It wasn't that bad, but it was like Karla's just said, and what you've said, Julia, who the fuck am I then? Because I can't live a life without being really good at something. And obviously you can. And that's when the true healing starts. But anyone who's in the position of starting to create who they want to be, because we also get to create, we don't really think about that. We think we're who we are, and anything else is like literally a matter of death, life or death. And it feels like you're going to die. We don't die, but it can feel that way. So, you know me, I can talk forever, so I'll stop there. But yeah, it felt like a matter of life or death. And it felt like leaving the eating disorder behind. It felt like I was basically choosing death, even though I intellectually knew I wasn't. It felt like I was.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I would like to look more into the creating in a little while, because I think that's really, really important. But letting go of the old identity is, I think, one of the hardest parts about recovery, because it's facing the unknown then, isn't it? It's facing the uncertain, the unknown, which is inherently scary. And it's just, I suppose when your brain doesn't know what's coming next, all you really feel is fear. And because the eating disorder behaviors are familiar, even though they're unpleasant and you're living in some kind of hell, they are familiar and you know them, and that makes them comfortable in a kind of twisted way. So how did you start to let go when you didn't know what was coming next? Karla?
Well, I think to recover is not an option. Don't let it go, because if you don't let it go, you are not going to be recovered. I mean, I think it's one of the first steps. I remember when Victoria was, I think was the first goal, and she told me, you are not the eating disorder. Stop saying like, my eating disorder is the eating disorder. So that was shocking. Even say like, it's not mine, it's something outside that I'm using, but it's not mine. And recognize that part, I think, is when I start the trip of leave the identity, like recognize this is something outside of me. It's not belong to me. It's not who I am, and it's not supposed why I come into this world being that, because I can be a lot of things. That is not my natural being.
Yeah, so disassociating from the eating disorder. Yeah, disassociating from the eating disorder is huge, isn't it? It's going from it's my eating disorder to the eating disorder, and just kind of taking that slight step away. Victoria, what was your first step in doing it?
Well, mine, it was the same but different. So before I understood what that meant, like separating yourself from it, I didn't know I was doing this. Now I'm aware of what I was doing, and I use this with my clients. I was using my values to support my recovery without realizing it. So first of all, I took a look at where the eating disorder had got me. And it made me really angry, actually, and this was because I was ready to recover, right? There was times, if you'd known me 10 years ago, I wasn't ready to recover. So unfortunately, I was just continuing in the life of the eating disorder. But when there comes a point when someone's ready to let that go, and that's when they reach out to one of us, right, or someone else to get support. So when I was at that stage, I looked back and in the present moment of how I was feeling every day, and I was angry at all of this was just because of this thing called an eating disorder, that I thought it was who I was. And then my values then, and they still are actually, because it's interesting, your values change over time, and it's important to be aware of what you're valuing. And at the start of my recovery, I valued freedom and courage. And so my personality is quite goal driven. So I changed recovery into like a challenge. And I know it's the wrong way to go about it for some, but I was going to beat this fucking eating disorder. And I used my challenge goal setting mindset, the courage, which was one of my top values, and the freedom to get there. So my mantra over and over again, and it does include a swear word because that's just what I'm all about, is whatever it fucking takes. So when I was like overwhelmed and with the fear that I was faced with, I was like, whatever it fucking takes. So I would use anger, actually. The anger maybe from all the past times when I was a child, when I wasn't allowed to express anger. I used all of that to like propel me forward and see it as a challenge that I had to beat. And that's what helped me get where I got to. And then I started to understand, oh, wait, I don't have to be fighting all the time. There is another way, but I actually got quite far by that point, and it was easier then, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I guess mine was probably quite similar in that I just felt I had nothing left to lose. I couldn't function at all. Everything had gone. I'd lost everything apart from my family, but I couldn't work. I couldn't train. I couldn't do any of the stuff that I used to do. So I just felt like I had nothing left to lose. So I just did whatever it took.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is really scary though, facing that uncertainty of who you're going to be. And I do remember sitting having a conversation with my husband going, I'm not going to be the same person. And he was like, no, I know you're not going to be the same person. And he said, I don't know if I'm going to like the new person. Wow. And that really scared me because I didn't know if I was going to like the new person either. And I was really angry at him for saying that. And I was like, how can you say that? How can you say that you don't know if you're going to like me? So because I don't know what you're going to be like, and I don't know who you're going to be because I've never known you without an eating disorder. And now when I look back, I know who I was there all along, but it was all the parts that were kind of overtaken by the eating disorder. But the love and the caring and the slight element of mischief and the fun part and the part that just loved nature and stuff, that's all me. And that didn't change. That was always there, but it was kind of buried under this anxious eating disorder stress shell that I was, or prison that I was looking out from. But our actual values and the things that are deep inside us, the caring, the nurturing, the loving, the mischief, that's all who you are, isn't it? That doesn't change.
Yeah, I think the eating disorder is like a blanket cover all this, your soul, with a little, like a very, very thin blanket that make you confuse who you are. And every time that you try to, I don't know, fold that blanket and go in your soul, the eating disorder come and say, no, this is you now, which is not true, obviously. And I think another part that I add what you're saying now is the scary part also for me was, what is the other people are going to think about me now that I am not that people, right? Like, because I don't know, for sure I know you are related to that, but I am used to be the skinniest in the group. I used to be the more the people that do more exercise. I used to be the people that eat healthy all the time. So how I'm going to show myself in the work with all that labels that makes me feel strong and different and capable, what I'm going to be now, what I'm going to tell the people who I'm a liar. I was terrified, saying, oh, everybody is going to think that I'm a liar because I am doing all the opposites now.
Yeah, I felt very much like that. Like, who can I show everyone else I am? Because I have created this identity of, for me, it was being the person that did making all the food from scratch, that only ever ate the healthy stuff, and trained all the time and stuff like that. And how will other people view you? That's a really huge point, isn't it? Did you find that, Victoria?
Yeah, well, I found that off the back of what you both have said, when you live with an eating disorder, it dims your light so much, but you can't see it though when you're in it. And that's where the fear comes from. So so many of my clients resonate with this, and I felt this way too. I thought, or I was worried a lot when I started recovery, that I would just be in a bigger body, but then still hate my body and hate my life. So I would be better off at least being in a smaller body and then still hating my life. And so the massive fear is, quote, getting better, but then still not liking yourself and who you are. And that is all part of the eating disorder, dimming your light, because now we're looking back in hindsight. Of course, that's not the case, because it's the actual eating disorder that's causing you these dark thoughts and the self-hate and not being good enough in the first place. And so I want to speak to a word here, and you'll both obviously resonate, and that's the word mourning.
Yes.
Mourning. And that was a big deal for me. And all of us have to do this, because we cannot step into a new identity until we've let go of the old identity, because otherwise it's going to keep pulling us back. So the amount of letters I wrote to my eating disorder, to the skinny body, to the fitness model body, and that was painful, to let that go and be like, you know what, I'm ready to let you go. And these are all the reasons why. And I don't know how I'm going to feel, but I know that I can't be with you anymore. I know it sounds a bit deep and a bit weird, but for me, that was a really big part of it, to let that go. And then we get to create who we want to be. So before I go into the creation, do you want to speak to that? And then the exciting part, but mourning the loss needs to come first, right?
Yes, it really, really does. And That was, it was mourning the loss of what I thought other people thought of me as well, which isn't necessarily what other people thought of me, but it's what I thought they thought of me.
Yeah.
And what I thought they thought my value was.
Mm-hmm.
Which was actually all bollocks as well. When I look back, none of those things that I thought were so important, that I thought people valued me for, like being the thinnest, like training the most, like creating all the food from scratch and being the one that did all the baking. Nobody actually values me for that, apart from maybe my children and the cakes.
Yeah.
But yeah, letting go of all that. And yeah, I think it was mourning what I thought people thought of me, when I discovered that I was actually completely wrong about all that anyway.
Mm-hmm. And it's only you that's living your life experience, right? So no one actually cares about what you think they care about. Like I'm the one who goes to the gym. I'm the one who says no to this. I'm the one who does this. They might say for a few minutes, wow, I wish I could be like you. And then they go on with their life and don't really care. But we, like you, all of us in the eating disorder, make it this like massive thing that, wow, we're on a pedestal and I feel so loved and validated and safe because everyone wants to be like me. No one actually really cares. They might say it as a passing comment because they want to go to the gym more. And then they get on with their life. So no one actually cares.
Yeah, so much.
Yeah. Or you receive like, yesterday at the gym, and this coming, a lady came to me and she told me, you know what, I used to look, she told me, oh, you gain weight. I said, yes. And I said, yes, because and this is the first time I said yes, because I recovered from anorexia. And she turns to me and said, oh, really? Yes, I was really sick, and that's why now I'm feeling much better, right? And she said, you know what? I used to look at you at that time, and I was very worried about you because you were so skinny, and I was worried that you hurt. And I mean, talking about this, in that moment, I just want to be, I never think that someone can think about me like that. Like I've been worried about how I look and about all the exercise. And it's just the ED was telling me, the people is looking at you because you are so skinny and you are so strong and you can do, and maybe no one looking at me like that. And it's like receiving these real thoughts about the other people to me. It's like, okay, I think I was wrong. I think that was not me. I was the eating disorder telling me what I need to think to preserve my illness.
Yes. Yeah. It's all the things that I used to worry about that I thought other people thought were really important aren't. And it was just my eating disorder perceptions of what I thought people cared about. But when you turn it round and say, are you friends with that person because they're in a small body? Would you not be friends with them if they gain weight? Or are you friends with them because they can do this in the gym? And when you turn it around, you're like, well, no, why would I think like that? And that's, why would I think that everyone else thought like that when I didn't think like that? But I did think like that. No, hang on, that's confusing. I thought that other people thought like that, even though I didn't think like that about other people myself. I'm waffling now, and I'm not making any sense.
It makes sense because that's the way the eating disorder works, right? It makes you think, I'm going to bring the words life or death back, because people who have never had an eating disorder, they can try and understand and they can read stuff, and it's not their fault they don't get it, right? I'm glad they've not experienced it. But when it literally feels it's a matter of life or death, whether I go to the gym today or not.
Yeah.
Because the eating disorder thrives and survives from worrying what other people think about us. And so it has to have that game playing for it to even survive. Like Karla said, it tricked her into thinking that people were looking at her in the gym, and I'm laughing with love and compassion to the old you, because they wish that they could be like you, when actually the reality is they were, like, not everyone, but this woman who shared, the truth now, she was worried about you, but the eating disorder wouldn't want that, because you would have let it go then. It's got a good strategy.
Yeah, it is. Dating disorder is pretty smart. Knows every details about yourself, the weakness and everything that go through. I think another morning I will, and maybe it's like very link what we are talking about, but when you start gaining weight, it's the same, like letting go your old body and letting go your expectations about how a body needs to be. Because it's like saying, okay, this body or the ideal body that I have in my mind is not the body, so I need to let it go. I don't know even what is going to be my ideal body anymore. I don't know. And that idea is so scary because you don't know what it's going to be. And I remember I was talking this with Victoria, and I'm laughing because it's cute. Like, I remember I thought, but what is going to happen if I'm going to be like 300 pounds from I am now? And she just said, well, you don't know, but I swear it's not going to happen, but it's happened. You just need to accept. And that was really scary part of letting go the control, and maybe the morning on control that part, or the illusion that you control that part.
Yeah, you said another really, really important word there was expectations.
Yeah.
Our expectations of what other people think, of what we think, and our expectations of what our new bodies are going to be like and how they're going to function. We put so many expectations in place, and what we think the consequences of those expectations are, like if you get into a bigger body, which if you're recovering from anorexia, let's face it, you're going to, what your expectations of what you think other people are going to accept, when in fact, again, people don't actually really care. But having really high expectations on yourself is almost self-punishing, isn't it? It makes your life a lot harder if you put these expectations on yourself.
That shit is hard. I was so afraid of weight gain my entire life, regardless of when I'd gained weight or not, because obviously I had the anorexia when I was younger, so I speak a lot to the bulimia, which that morphed into. So no matter how much I'd gained weight and lost weight and gained weight and lost weight again, I was so petrified of weight gain. And I've said this on a podcast before, and it's really very harsh. And I'm going to share this only because I don't think this way now, and I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody, and you'll understand why I'm prepping that before I say it. But I want to share how petrified I was of weight gain. I used to wish shit like, oh, well, if I just got cancer and then had chemotherapy, then I'd lose weight without even trying. Like, that legitimately was a thought I used to have, because that's how petrified of weight gain I was, and how much I desperately, consistently always wanted to be smaller. And so when you choose recovery, and like Karla said, you have no idea, because I started dieting at 9. I had no idea what my natural body might even look like. All I had, and we do have this, it was my parents' bodies, because they're not in eating. Well, my mum was a yo-yo dieter, not now, but they have like a normal-ish healthy relationship with food. So their bodies are kind of their natural body. So all I had for reference, and that even a reference is control, trying to grasp at something like, please just tell me at least what I can expect. And it's a false sense of security. But I'm going to say the word trade-off, because I got to the point where when I chose full true recovery, I was willing to trade because I'm talking now in the bulimia when I had the quote ideal body and I was getting praise. So whereas Karla shared that someone was looking at her and perhaps being like, is she okay? And you too, Julie, like, is she okay? I think she's sick. I was getting the opposite. I was being told every day how incredible I looked and how strong I was and how awesome I was and how they wish they could look like me. But it got to a point where the eating disorder was controlling my life and reality so much, I was willing to trade all the validation for what? The unknown. But it got to a point where I was like, do you know what? I'm done. I am ready to trade all of that external validation, which isn't actually giving me the life I want to live. I'm just suffering in silence. I'm ready and willing to trade that for what I envision, but I have no fucking idea how I'm going to get there. So I just wanted to speak to that because there's a trade-off for everything. I traded a weight gain for absolute food freedom, self-love, body love, liberation, having my own business. That is the best trade I've ever done for myself.
That is so amazing. So we've done mourning your body. We've done trying not to set too many expectations. We've done not owning the eating disorder, disassociating from it, not being part of it. So let's look at create. Karla, I'm going to let you go first because Victoria has so much to say on create.
Well, yes, you need to, I don't know if you create yourself. I think you are yourself because you're born like that, right? If you're born with a soul and you're born with all your information. And I think we are related because the three of us started the eating disorder when we was really young.
Yeah. Our
personality didn't form totally, right? We didn't, and I feel in that moment when I start recovering, I don't know who I am because I never passed the process or the teenager process when suppose happens to you become an adult, a strong adult with a strong personality, or at least you know who I am, what you like, what do you like, and that kind of things. And the three of us never happening or happens, but just related to that part of us. So creating that personality is exciting, but it's scary at the same time because you don't know what you like. I mean, and feels in some points of dumb, right? Like when you look at a woman for 42, 41 years old, like me, they absolutely know what it's like, what food they like, what is, I don't know, all their favorites. And I remember, I don't know what is my favorite food. I hate all the food. I don't have favorite food. What I'm going to say. So maybe that seems like a really stupid thing, but it's very important because you don't know who you are. So you need to go and scratch and go to this darker place to recognize who you are. What do you like? Like Julia, you say the nature. And I like the nature too. I like to be laughing. I like to the adventures and that kind of things that you just forgot and trade for the eating disorder. You go and you need to go back and recover it.
Yes, definitely. And I love what you said about the food.
And Victoria always told, like, what do you like to do when you was a kid? And this a little bit like you can start guidance with all of you, and that old Karla or the youngest Karla is going to guide you to find your place in this world.
Yeah. What you said about the food is so true. I had no idea what I liked to eat. I knew a couple of things I didn't like, but I didn't actually know what I did like. And it took me ages to find them. People are like, what's your favorite food? I don't know. Literally don't know. Don't know how. I don't know if I can still answer that, actually. I don't think I have a favorite.
I think I have favorite flavors, but no favorite food, because I feel like I need to now that I'm open to everything, I need to go and try more food. But
that's
at the
where
moment,
it gets exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
You get to try so many things.
And this happened in this moment. Last summer, I remember for sure all of us did drink water as crazy, but just because we need to drink water. And the difference now when your body asks for water and the taste of the water when you really need it is like totally different. And I drinking more water than maybe 2 months because it's so hot and everything, but not because I measure how much water I drinking. It's just because my body has and even tastes that water is amazing.
Yeah.
Victoria, tell us about creating.
Well, I want to start off by piggybacking off what you and Karla said. Karla specifically said, creating who you want to become is actually coming back home to yourself. And that's true. And I love that so much because, and then I'm going to go into my version of creation as well. But the first and most important thing is being who you are. And that sounds so simple, and it is simple, but it's not easy in a world that is telling you it's not okay to be who you are. Actually, you need to be yourself, but not like that. You need to be more confident, but not too much. And it's literally like you can't win. And so I used to get told when I was younger a lot, don't be too much, don't be overconfident, don't be arrogant. You need to. So I was dimming who I was in order to protect other people. That's what I got taught. And so once you understand who you are at your core, and
But
you know, I don't care
know? What if
Go
you don't know who you are at your core? What if, so I was so young that I had no idea. I dimmed from the word go to try and be acceptable, to try and not get into trouble. So I never knew as a child who I was. I only was somebody that tried to please other people.
So well, then you would follow your feeling. So if I was supporting, well, I have supported you and someone else who is like, but I don't know who I am. How do I get to know myself? Is asking the questions that I asked Karla, like, well, what would little, and I ask you, I think too, like, what would little Julia or Karla choose right now? And so it takes the pressure off because you're going back in time and just playing make-believe and just seeing what your answer would be. But apart from that, it's following your feelings. So it's trying something with suggestions from someone you trust, like your coach or someone else who you trust, like your husband perhaps, and seeing how that feels when you do the thing. So how does it feel to be, and I've seen you step into your mischief and your diva attitude, and I love that. And that feels good for you. So that's who you are. And so you don't need to know who you are, but who you are will show you who you are if you allow it. So it's being open, being curious, and following what feels right. And that's an internal experience. It's hard to describe in words, but you'll understand when you experience that, like, oh, that felt good when I was like walking in nature and or whatever, or that. And you start to get to know you. And so from that basis, this is where it gets exciting. You know, the saying that society have always told me anyway, you can't have it all.
Yes.
That's not fucking true, because I believe that shit for my whole entire life. So I would be with boyfriends and be like, well, I don't like, I mean, no one's perfect, right? But this is really not good in the relationship. But, you know, you can't have it all. So you just got to like be grateful for what you've got. Or, you know, this job, well, it's okay, but, you know, you can't. No, I refuse. I have completely burnt that belief now. And we all get to live from the belief of, I get to have it all. And what does that mean? Because that means something different to every person. For me, having it all means time freedom, financial freedom, and abundance. all from the basis of love, because love is everything. I don't care what the question is, love is the answer. And chocolate. Love first.
Love for chocolate?
Love and chocolate, because we get to have both and, not either or. So when you are in a position where you're like, right, I don't know who I am, but I'm willing and ready with support to start creating that, even though, as Karla said, of course it's scary, because then you have the fear of, well, what if I fail? And what if I don't like it? And what if I don't know? But just play make-believe. Get a pen, get a piece of paper and write down, who would I choose to be? You can even connect to a fiction character or someone who you see on Instagram and just make up their life of who you think this person is, and write down who you want to be. How do you want to feel every day? And when you have the belief, with the support to help you create the belief of you get to have it all, anything you can envision, you just remember in the future, it's already done. And that's the exciting part about the coaching. Like, yes, the biggest part is healing from the eating disorder, but then that leaves you an empty canvas to paint, or an empty book to write your life story and go in the direction of what you want. And that's the exciting part, because most people say, not in an eating disorders, more so life coaching, bulimia, stuff like this, I don't know what I want, but I don't want this. I don't want this, X, Y, and Z. What do you want? They can't answer that.
Mm-hmm.
You need to know what you want. And it's okay if you don't yet. That's why a coach is really helpful. But play make-believe. There's no pressure. You can't fail. Just go in the direction of your dreams and you'll be there. You will arrive there.
And they've got to be your dreams as well, not what you think would be acceptable to others, but what feels good to you.
100% yes. Someone else's dream could be to sit in their garden all day and paint. And that is perfect for them. And this is where the best part is, like, everyone is so different.
Even interpretation of what you just said, because as soon as you said sit in the garden and paint, I was actually thinking of painting fences.
There you go. Literally.
Yeah.
Literally. And it might be someone else's dream to, be the best mum that they can and raise children and just be the best role model they can be for their children. I have a dream, which will become my reality because I've already decided it will be, to speak on stage and be a public speaker and just share all of my energy and passion in a room full of people. That might be someone's worst nightmare.
Yeah, true.
You get to
and
choose.
You will be amazing at that as well.
Thank you. I'm excited for it to come to fruition, but we get to choose, I think, and I'm going to stop now because this isn't my podcast, I'm the guest, but the word choice and choosing.
That's good. And that's hard, right? When you are recovering, choose by yourself. It's a big deal. Like, because the years before the eating disorder were choosing for you. And now for me, was really scared how that have that responsibility to choose really who I want to be. And it's scary to be honest. It's something that I'm still working. It's not like now I super secure who I like. Is this just need to decide even what you are going to eat, what you are going to say, how you are going to start the day. These little things that when you take the responsibility of, it's your decision. It's not about the circumstances. And I think you always tell us that it's not about the circumstances. It's about what you choose to be, what you choose to do if you need to do, but more the be, and starting with the be. If you need to do something, do it, but if not, just be, because that's really important for me, because I'm still working in that. And yeah, choosing is a big step. because you choose recover, right?
But I'd also like to speak to the fact that it's okay to choose something and try it and then not like it and change your mind. Just because you've chosen to do something, you don't have to actually stick to it if it's not right for you. And that doesn't mean you've failed either. It just means that you've learned something that's not right for you and that you can try something else, and you can try 100 different things before you find the thing that you like. And that's okay as well. And you haven't failed 99 times. You've just learned 99 things that weren't right. And so it's completely okay to keep changing your mind. And you don't have to just be one thing. You can be as many different things as you want to be. You can be a trapeze artist and a painter and a doctor. You can be whatever you want to be. You can have as many hobbies as you want and do as many fun things as you want, or you can study. You can do anything. Anything that you decide you want to try, just try it, because it doesn't matter if you don't like it.
I love you spoke to that, because so many women who are in recovery from an eating disorder have this innate biological fear of getting something wrong.
Yeah.
And so the brain, I mean, you'll know this, the brain is in, let's say today it's Tuesday, the 18th of July, when we're recording this. The brain, the body's in the now, the present moment, Tuesday, the 18th of July. The brain's going to, so next month, then next year, and then what if this, and what if that, and then what if, and then it's like, whoa, and it's gone on this anxiety train, that's like a bullet train, that's like going 1,000,000 miles an hour, until you're like, okay, wait, my thoughts are spiraling, they're future tripping, they're what ifing, what if I make this choice and it's the wrong choice? As you've said, there's no such thing as a wrong choice.
No.
Welcome to planet Earth, where your whole entire life is about choices. And that's okay. And I know that when I say that, so many people will feel this innate pressure and responsibility. Again, there's nothing you can get wrong, so it's fine. There's no pressure. There's no need to be afraid of getting something right or wrong. It's up to you to make choices, to create experiences, and you're going to end up where you're going to end up. And all of it is just a journey called life. So if you look at it from like a bigger picture and just an experience that you get to choose to create what you want, and there's no such thing as a wrong choice because you learn something, then the pressure just automatically falls away, and then you get to enjoy your choices.
Absolutely. And how do you know what you don't like until you've tried it? It's like, I really don't like olives. I really, really don't like olives. They're horrible. But I only know that I really don't like olives because I've tried them and they were horrible. If I'd never tried them, I couldn't say I didn't like them. So there's so many possibilities. There's like infinite, isn't it, of things you can do. And if you do something, it's like I'm doing coaching, you're a coach, Karla's a coach, but we're three very different coaches, because although we're doing a similar thing, because we're different people, it's a different thing.
Mm.
And so what's right for you might not be right for somebody else, or it might be right for them in a very, very different way.
Mm.
And so you're right, you can't get it wrong. All you do is find out what suits you and what you're happy with.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that's huge, isn't it? That's just like knowing that you can't fail and you can't get it wrong gives you so much more courage to just try and just have a go.
And also, and then I'll leave space for others to talk, but this was something that comes up a lot. Some people think they have to be 100% certain that they're going to make the right choice for them. Well, truth bomb, if you wait until you're 100% certain about something, you'll never choose. I'm not 100% certain about something. I just have a feeling, and I'm like, well, I'll try it. I'm in the Netherlands. Well, the worst that can happen is I'll just go back to England. Like, so don't wait for your whole body to be like, yes, this is the right choice. Just literally pick one. I know that sounds irresponsible, but it's not, because your intuition is going to guide you anyway. It always is. You either get what you want or get what you need. So don't wait till you believe something in order to take action on that belief, because you'll never take action. Don't wait until you feel it's the right decision to make the decision. Just do it and see where you end up. It's going to be fine.
I love that.
Also, choosing don't do anything is choosing, right? Like choosing. So still, it's a choose all the time. Life is choosing all the time.
You're right. Not doing anything is a choice, isn't it? But it doesn't get you anywhere.
Yeah.
It's a choice to stay stuck.
Yes.
I'm speaking to someone at the moment, actually, an old male friend, and he's in the middle of making a choice that he's been trying to make for about 3 months now. And I said to him this morning, you do realize that you said you've not made a choice. Not making a choice is making a choice. You're choosing to stay stuck with, quote, trying to make a choice. So you're actually choosing right now. And he was like, whoa, hold on a minute. That's too much for a Tuesday morning.
Now, actually, can you say that again? Because I think that's really important.
So not making a choice is actually choosing to stay stuck. So you are always making a choice, even if you don't think you are.
That is massive.
Yeah. So people that think I'm not very good at making decisions, well, you're already making a decision right now to stay where you are. So you're actually very good at making decisions.
Yeah. You're just not open to change, but you're still making a decision.
Exactly. Or they let the fear stop them from making the change they say they want. And you and all of us know, especially you two, that the other side of fear lies freedom. And there's so many people, and I say this with absolute love and compassion, and we've all been there, that say, I want different, I want different, I want different, I want different. And then when it comes to it, are you ready and willing to then make that step then? Because you can't want different, want different, want different, want different, have no fear, have no fear. It doesn't work like that. Unfortunately, you have to, if you say you want different with the right support, I'm not just sitting here saying, oh, just eat if you're anorexic. I've been there. You know what it's like. It's not just like, oh, well, just eat there. But with the right support and the right groundwork and the right understanding and all the love, then there comes a point that the only way forward is action. Yeah. But you've got to have that stuff as well, right?
If you want different, you have to do different.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
Yes, definitely. And having a coach makes life so much easier. And a bit head spinny, to be fair. But in a good way. It's looking at the changes, isn't it? It's looking at the possibilities. That's what opens you up to all the possibilities. That's what it does.
Yeah, and having a role model. We all need role models. What would Victoria do? What would Beyonce do? You know, what?
I don't know about Beyonce, but Victoria would probably eat chocolate.
Yes. That was helpful for me. So I have a coach now. I'm always investing in myself. You guys know that. And I don't so much ask what would someone else do, but I do always ask. I mean, look at my Zoom name. It's not it's Queen for a reason. I say to myself, if I'm in a predicament or if I'm not sure which direction to turn or if I'm not liking the thought process I'm in that moment, I'm like, wait, what would Queen Victoria do right now? And then I go and do that. So I call myself Queen, I call you two Queens, and there's a reason for that, because I'm speaking to the highest version of you. I mean, some people that might be goddess or whatever, it doesn't really matter the wording, it's what you make it mean, what it represents for you. So if, for example, I got an email asking to go and speak in front of thousands of people on stage, and my first reaction would be yes, and then be like, oh my God, am I ready then? Should I start smaller? Like maybe I would be like, okay, wait, what would Queen Victoria do? Okay, she would be like, yes, let's do it. So then I would go and do it. The fear's there. Yeah. It's not bypassing the fear. You've got to go through it, but it gives you like it gives you a direction of where to go. So I think that's helpful to mention, isn't it, for your listeners to choose someone to, whether it's their higher self or someone else, or you or Karla. What would Julia do? What would Karla do? And then go and do that. That's really helpful.
Definitely.
Yeah, and also like reframe to you, because when you are in an eating disorder, who is choosing is not yourself, who is choosing the eating disorder. So even when you think you are choosing not to eat, or choosing to eat or purge or go to do exercise, you really know are choosing that, because also doesn't feel like a choose. It feels like a die or dead. You need to do it. So I think when you start a process, you need that person that's not your choice, because choice feeling different. Because when you choose by yourself, by your pure soul, feels different. And just reframe the values that is important for each people, because the eating disorder, we say it before, cover that value. So how you are going to know what values or what are you going to, of where is coming from that choose, until someone came, and it's not like someone put the values on you. It's just, hey, this is your values. Hey, you are this. Hey, you are not that. So let's go choose from this very inside part of you, not from the eating disorder.
Yes, and it can actually be really confusing, particularly in early recovery, as to who you're listening to. Are you listening to yourself? Are you listening to the eating disorder? What's the right thing? Because you can have absolutely opposing thoughts.
Yeah. You're being a victim. What Karla just said is really key, because when you think I'm laughing because the word control is coming up. When people think they're in control, I'm not eating that, I'm only eating a baby portion of something because I'm in control. Well, actually, you're a victim to the eating disorder, because that is currently in control. So when you just have that shift of like, holy shit, I'm literally being a victim to this eating disorder, that's when you get to choose. But what you said, Julia, and I'll give your listeners a really easy way, and you can let me know if it is easy, because I'm deciding it's easy. It was for me an easy way to know what to listen to when you're like, is that me? Is it the eating disorder? Like, what is it? Fear? What is it? Is to close your eyes and say, let's say you're choosing something. Let's say you're choosing to go for a walk or choosing to stay at home, and you're questioning, like, do I want to go for a walk, or does the eating disorder want to go for a walk for body movement? Like what do I want? I mean, that's actually a beautiful example, because underneath that, the worry there is actually born from self-love. The worry there in this particular example is like, wait, if I do walk, is that because the eating disorder wants to move, or is it because I actually want to walk? So that is actually born from self-love. So you'd close your eyes and think, okay, I'm going to go on a walk. What is the motivation or the inspiration behind that? Is it genuinely because I want to go outside and be in fresh air? How does that feel in my body? If it feels expansive and calm and soft, that's the truth. That's the true you who wants to do that behavior. If you think, okay, I'm going to go for a walk, and you imagine that, if it feels like successful, impulsive, like the anxiety is gone because you're moving, that's the eating disorder. And only you will know that when you tune in. It's how you feel from the reason why you're doing the behavior.
Yeah, I love the fact that you used the word successful there as well, because if there's something you think you should do to be successful, that is nearly always the eating disorder, isn't it?
Yep, because the ego only cares about success. God, the universe, our creator, does not care about success. It cares about being. Like I said, it's up there, but it says chocolate. It says chocolate is the answer. Who cares what the question is? My version is that one, but also love is the answer. Who cares what the question is? So yeah. Is it born from love, or is it born from fear? That one question can change your entire life, whether you're healing from an eating disorder. wanting to step into the better version of you, wanting to change some behaviors, is it born from love or is it born from fear? Always choose love, because that's who we are.
Yes, definitely. And also choose for you, not for what you think other people expect or accept.
Yeah. That would be born from fear. I still do it sometimes with people pleasing, and I can see I'm doing it and I can watch my pattern and I'm like, sweetheart, you're doing it again. And I'm like, I know. Well, this is what I'm working on, right? It's like I'm aware and I'm taking responsibility, but I'm still choosing to say yes to speaking to someone out of fear of hurting their feelings because I actually don't want to. And that's something that I'm working on. So as long as you're aware, doesn't automatically mean you make the choice that's the most aligned for you, but you're aware and you get to choose. And I'm choosing out of alignment, but at least I'm giving myself compassion and understanding whilst I'm working it out. And I will get there. I'm just being a bit gentle with myself.
And that's okay as well, isn't it? To be gentle with yourself. You don't have to do everything all at once, and you can't do everything all at once. It's just too overwhelming, and you're just gonna end up spiraling if you try and do it all at once. I know I did it. I tried it. It didn't work.
One step at a time.
Definitely. Well, this has been so amazing. And is there anything else that you would like to add before we wrap up for today?
I'll let you go, Karla.
Just wrap up about it's really important about asking if you are in this cycle of eating disorder, and you know perfectly that identity is not your identity, and recognize that is clue. Because I remember being in that moment when I recognized that I'm not the eating disorder, a big weight take from me apart, and I start feeling free, because I know it at that moment that all that decision that I was taking was not me. Even the worst decision that you take, you didn't take it. The eating disorder taken for you. So give you a big hug, because it doesn't matter what you did. When you choose recover, you are going to choose a better life for you.
I want to say what Karla said, just in a different way. I want each and every one of us to start choosing and creating from possibility, not circumstance, because so many people will be like, well, I purge because that's what I've done for 20 years. This is just what I do. It feels so overwhelming. I can't not do the thing. That's a lie. And I understand that the brain needs evidence to support you with where you want to go. If you haven't got evidence for yourself that you can heal from an eating disorder, there's 3 of us on this call right now that can be your evidence to show you it's possible. We didn't just choose cover and then we magically arrived on this podcast sharing our journey, right? We've been through it. And so stop creating from circumstance and start creating from possibility. That's how powerful you are.
Definitely. And as Victoria said, love is the answer to everything. So just love yourselves, give yourself so much love and compassion, because it's not your fault and you can recover. And we all believe in you. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.
Lots of love.
Bye.
Bye.